Okay, as I have mentioned, for this lab, you will be using an online lab called Nova. To start, I'm going to walk you through how to create an account with Nova. You will be using this website for the next 3 days, so it is important that you create an account so that it saves your work as you progress through the assignment. So first step is go to this website. So I'm going to click on that, and this should bring you right to the Evolution Lab. Then you're going to click the yellow Play Game button. Now, you have not created an account yet, so it's going to prompt you to either log in or create an account. Please make sure you are signing in with Google, so that's the red middle button. This should automatically attach your BVSD account information to create an account with Nova. However, if it doesn't, please type in your BVSD email address and password. Then it will bring you to this screen, and again, you're going to click the yellow Play Game button. Now, this is the screen you should be able to get to. It is the home screen for the Evolution Lab, and you will be able to see and track all your progress that you've made as you work through this assignment. Mine does look a little bit different because I've already completed some of the missions. However, yours should all be locked at this time. So today, what we're going to start with is just mission 1. Tomorrow you will be assigned other missions, so tune in tomorrow again to see how to progress. So click this button, which for you should say play. Mine says replay because I've already done it. And there are 3 kind of sections to mission 1. First one is red, green, and gecko. The second is familiar faces. And the third is Tree of Life, Vegetarian Edition. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to do the red, green, and gecko. It's very basic. It just kind of teaches you how to build phylogenetic trees and how to work with this program. And then if you're feeling comfortable after this video, feel free to just kind of keep going until you've completed mission 1. If you're still stuck after this video, please check in. I will create 2 separate videos, one for the familiar faces section of this mission, and then a 3rd video for the Tree of Life section. So hit play. And like I said, this first portion is very basic. It's just kind of walking you through how to use this program. So when you open this screen, you'll see a bunch of different things. At the bottom, these will be all the organisms that you need to place into your tree, your phylogenetic tree. And on the left side over here where it says cells with nuclei and it has a blue dot, this will be all the traits that you need to insert into your phylogenetic tree. To insert species into your tree, you just click and drag them into this kind of black square in the middle here. So I'm going to drag that there and it should place it. And then I'm going to drag my second one. And you'll see it'll kind of automatically create another branch that these 2 organisms are connected. Then I'm going to drag the traits in. Now this one is very simple. There's only one. So these 2 species should share this trait. So I'm going to put it at the base of this branch towards the bottom. And you will notice that when I drop it, the trait will kind of go up the branches, and you should see it kind of light up there in the above each organism. Okay, and that means we did it correctly. Okay, if you've done it correctly, all the circles above each of the organisms, so this one only has 1, but in future missions you'll have multiple, should be filled in. Now, they're progressing you here, so they're adding in a 3rd organism. It's called the fly agaric, and it looks like a little mushroom. And it's also adding 2 other traits that you're going to need to add. You'll notice them over here on the left. Now, this will be very important, this step that I'm about to show you, for future missions and sections in mission 1. This magnify hand lens at the bottom right hand of your screen, if you click on that, it will tell you more about all of the species that are in that portion of the mission. So it's gonna, when I click on it, it'll highlight all the species, and then I can click on it again, whoops, and it pops up a box that contains information. Now, there's a lot of information on each of the species. Feel free to read it all. However, at the top here, where it's kind of boxed in here, this is your main information that you really need to pay attention to. It's kind of the highlights. Okay, so for example, the fly agaric mushroom. It has a cell with nuclei, which we know what that means. It has a nucleus. It is heterotrophic, which means it obtains nutrients by consuming other organisms. I'm going to click the gecko. The gecko also has cells with a nuclei. It is also heterotrophic. So that's those two things share those two traits. The palm tree also has cells with a nuclei. However, it is different. It is photosynthetic autotroph, which means it uses energy from the sunlight to turn carbon dioxide and water into sugar. That means it uses the process of photosynthesis, which we already knew plants do. This last one kind of gives you some more information about comparing the three species. For example, in this one, it's just telling us that the cells of all animals and plants and fungi have nuclei, which makes these organisms called eukaryotes. Just means that their cells have a nucleus. I'm gonna X out of it. So now we got to use that information to kind of see, where do I place this? Now, I remembered seeing and reading that both the mushroom and the gecko were something called a heterotrophic organism, meaning it consumes other organisms for energy, whereas the palm tree is photosynthetic, meaning it uses sunlight to create its own food. That means when I place the mushroom into my phylogenetic tree, it's got to be connected closer with the gecko than with the palm tree. So I'm going to drag it in here. And the first thing I'm going to show you this, how it kind of you can create different branches on a tree. So for example, I could put it here, which means it creates its own branch for the mushroom. But that is incorrect. I could put it over here, which would connect the palm tree and the mushroom. However, we know that that's not correct because we read that the mushroom and the gecko are both heterotrophic. So I've got to do it the other way. So I've got to connect the mushroom and the gecko. And the last thing I need to do is place in my last two traits. So we just said the mushroom and the gecko are heterotrophic. So I'm going to put that over here. So that should go to both the gecko and the mushroom, which it does. And that just leaves my last one to be placed right here because the palm tree is photosynthetic. And there we go. We've created our first phylogenetic tree. When you've completed a tree, a question will pop up for you to answer about your tree. So it says, now that you've completed the first puzzle, answer the question. Is an animal or a plant more closely related to a fungus? So I look at my tree. Here's my fungus, my mushroom. Trees over here, geckos here. I know that a mushroom is more closely related to a gecko because they have more traits in common. They have the fact that they're both heterotrophic, and then they also have this bottom trait which says they have cells with a nucleus. So I'm going to click Animal and Submit. Now, be careful. If you click Next, you are going to have to, if you want to come back to this tree, you're going to have to rebuild it all over again. Now, this one's very basic, so that's not that big of a deal. However, when you get into future missions, your trees are going to become more complex, so it's going to be really annoying if you have to rebuild it. And here's why I say pause. Because what you need to do now is use your tree to answer the questions in your assignment. So I'm going to go back to my assignment to show you. Now, if I scroll down to where it says Mission 1, I have my 3 sections, and for each section, there are questions. So for red, green, and gecko, there's 2 questions. The first one is an animal or plant more closely related to a fungus? We just answered that, and we said animal, so you could type animal into this box. But then there's a second question that you're going to need to answer using the tree. And it says, what is the trait that the fungus shared with the organism it was more closely related to? So I'm going to go back to my tree. So the trait that the fungus shared with the gecko, because that's what it's more closely related to, was that it is heterotrophic. So I would also need to use the tree to answer that question. Once you have all the questions answered for that section, then you can click Next, and it'll take you back to the main screen so that you can continue on with Mission 1.